So I'm here to talk about 4 simple things. 1, our education is failing us. We, the youth, are the ones who will be most affected by the climate crisis, and yet educational leaders continue to act immorally. Our education system was designed and has continued to be complicit with reproducing the status quo, which consequently is destroying the planet. It is not preparing us for the unavoidably radical change necessary to survive. During my 4 years of high school here in Missoula, climate change was barely touched on. And now I've been working with high school students from all across the community. And for months now, I have heard and learned that they too are not learning anything about climate change like they need to be. So Missoula and educators, let me expressly state to you, you are not doing enough. Treat it like a crisis because it is. As you've heard from the courageous young people who took the stage today, we turned our backs on your thinly veiled lip service in status quo education. None of us care if the facts of climate science offends fellow students. Teach the facts and then teach the logical impossibility of a capitalist solution. It's an educator's ethical duty to teach which is verifiable, not what is ideologically neutral. This isn't Bible school. Our schools are supposed to be based in standards of evidence and reason. The university's motto is Lux et Veritas, light and truth. Apparently, there is very little light being shown on the truth because the truth is our house is on fire and we are fucked. Without your technocratic straitjacket, we took our education into our own hands. We used our summer to work our asses off to get the authentic and realistic education we need to face the future of climate calamity. And that is what next week is for all of you, so please show up. 2, our ecological limit and capitalism are incompatible. Even a small child can see that our planet has an ecological limit, and our current economic system of capitalism cannot abide by limits to growth. So capitalism must go. Capital will always require more growth built on extraction of more resources. In the greedy interest of making ever-increasing amounts of money, Western cultures are undermining the foundations of life. We now live in a financialized world in which the power to create money is controlled by privately owned multinational banks, in which the needs of the earth that sustain us is treated as barriers to the infinite growth of our stocks of capital. The Amazon has been burning for over a month. We are burning the lungs of the earth, one of the most diverse ecosystems on our planet, for fucking cattle. Our culture is so focused on making money that we see the beautiful natural resources we have on this earth as disposable. And it's no wonder why our country, of all countries, is still struggling to understand the basic concept of climate change. Just think about how we were founded. Back then, Europe was hitting against nature's limits. They had overfished their rivers, felled their great forests, and hunted their big game. Then, when European conquerors stumbled upon the so-called New World, they thought they had hit the jackpot. They saw in the Americas a kind of supersized Europe that would never run out of resources. The original story of our country was a myth of endless nature, wilderness to be devoured without limits. And anything or anyone that stood in our way had to be removed at all costs. But now our planet is saying, hey, some of you human cultures have filled my oceans with plastics, my skies with heat-trapping gases, clear-cut my lungs, contaminated my water, and used far more than I can provide. I can't believe some of you human cultures couldn't see that I have limits. So something has to give. And I'm sure Mother Earth will adapt, but are we going to? 3, green capitalism is a false god. There are those people who do seem to appreciate these limits, like Democrats and liberal businesses and nonprofits. However, there seems to be no end in sight among these folks for coming up with absurdly inadequate solutions, or worse, false gods like green capitalism. These solutions are predicated on the impossibility of justice for all species, all human culture, and justice for our Mother Earth. The typical liberal solutions have been minor tweaks to an economy based on endless consumption and green initiatives, which obviously have not changed anything. So we have to relinquish. There's no such thing as green technology. And no, your reusable straw isn't helping anything. No, recycling isn't helping anything. It's just teaching you to consume everything that you don't need. No, electric cars aren't helpful to the environment at all. Lithium, the essential element for batteries used in many electric cars, are wreaking havoc on our planet. Is the plan to just keep extracting lithium for 7 billion people? Which brings me to my last point. We must change everything. None of this, absolutely none of this, is anywhere close to the depth of change that is required if we hope to actually pull our planet back from the brink. We need to draw down our energy and resource demands. What our world fails to recognize is that the price is not the cost. The price we pay for $3 a gallon of gas is not the cost. The cost is the 24 pounds of carbon dioxide per gallon that fossil-fueled vehicles emit. You pay $50 for a wooden chair, but what is the cost? The cost of the chair is the lost wood, a lost rainforest, and an oil field that replaces that wood. The price is not the cost. Multiply that unchecked consumption by billions of people, and we all see the cautionary tale of the Lorax by Dr. Seuss. So to the adults who are here today, have you listened to the youth? Look around you. I see high school students all over. This is incredibly encouraging. And are you prepared to listen to us and actually help us? Are you ready to start listening to the science and actually give us a future that you were very fortunate to have? And everyone else, are we brave enough to disrupt business as usual?